and Sanskrit, Andolanam in Malayalam, Ondolan in Bangla, Andolana in Kannada, Andholan in Marathi. Almost all Indian languages have adopted this word, which has a Sanskrit origin. There are many nuances to this word in different languages, but the shared common meanings include movement and agitation. In Karnataka's ancient city of Mysore, the word Andolana represents a 50-year-old movement of vibrant journalism too. This representation is through a Kannada newspaper based in the city. Andolana belongs to the rare genre of local newspapers which are inspired by age-old traditions of journalism. A tradition committed to remaining truthful, objective and fearless in the face of the changing times. Andolana is a 51-year-old daily that was started by the late Rajashekhara Koti, who followed the footsteps of freedom fighters and socialist leaders.
Andolana was started by my dad, Mr. Rajashekhar Koti, back in 1972. He was greatly influenced by the JP movement.
Koti is a Kannada family name that is legendary in the Dharwad region of Karnataka, a family quite rich and influential. Leaving all the power and money that comes with such a family background behind him, and against the wishes of his father, Rajashekhara Koti left his village and went to Mysore to start a newspaper.
My dad was inspired by Patil Puttappa, the great journalist the Karnataka has seen, in his paper called Prapancha. And he was so inspired by him that he decided to become a journalist himself, which was not a normal profession in those days. So for that sake, he came down to Mysore with the help of his friends. He started a paper in Mysore with the help of Devnur Mahadev sir and Tejasvi and Pamalesh. They all helped him to establish this paper financially, and they gave him place to stay also. And it was a weekly newspaper then, and later on during emergency he decided to bring out a daily, and we became daily.
Soon after the newspaper was launched, a national emergency was declared in the country in 1975 by Indira Gandhi. It was quite difficult for an ideology-driven newspaper to carry out free and fearless journalism in those times.
We were not supposed to write anything against the government, and people used to give him shelter to hide every day. So he used to hide and publish the paper, and midnight he used to circulate the papers to people's place. I've heard stories like that from my dad.
Andolana survived the emergency and grew to have 6 editions and around 1 lakh circulation. Andolana coverage of the police pursuit of Sandalwood Brigand, Veerappan, was exceptional in a time when there were no mobile phones and modern communication infrastructure.
That time my dad himself used to go to the forest and with our correspondents and photographers, and he used to get the news from there and come back the same night and give our readers the very next morning. So people used to wait to read Andolana because they knew that Andolana is the only paper which would carry the news of Veerappan.
Soon, Andolana became the first local newspaper in entire Asia to have got the Audit Bureau of Circulation certification.
Even before we published the news in paper, they would have seen that in TV, they would have heard about it, they would have seen that in their mobile. So by the time the news reaches the reader, we give it to our reader, it becomes a stale news. So what we do is that we see how differently we can portray the same news to the reader, and what angle can be given to our reader, and how to make it different from the news that they would have heard it before, the same news.
The investigative stories of Andolana have had a statewide impact in Karnataka. One such story even caused a corrupt commissioner of Mysore to be convicted by a court recently. In a world dominated by social media and electronic mass media, there is a class of audience who look forward to reading the deeply political and analytical content that local newspapers such as Andolana present to them. The tradition of grassroots level citizen awareness and action, inspired by our freedom struggle and other meaningful political movements, is kept alive by journalism as practiced by the people behind Andolana and similar news ventures.